Alright, this is a Halloween reading. I'm just going to do one group, if that's alright with everybody. It's going to be the collective, so there could be a lot going on. Or very little, depending on if this resonates for anyone. It might not resonate for anybody, but it is a collective reading, okay? So your first card is going to be a trick where to shake yourself up about something. So we have the Two of Fire. Two of Fire is the bee palm in reverse. So staying closed-minded, creating excuses, letting go of opportunities. So you could just be letting opportunities pass you by. You might be still hung up on somebody. You still might have feelings for somebody, or you just don't want certain jobs. Like, you don't want to network, you don't want to have fun, you don't want to, do anything. Which is fine. We all have those days. I've been having that year. Mm. Mm. It's alright. Alright, so a treat. Where to treat yourself. Let's see. We have the Queen of Water in reverse. So you're emotionally overwhelmed, dragging you down, feeling easily distracted, revisiting bittersweet memories which require deep insight to uncover a source. So you might be going through some trauma, PTSD, bad memories, just feeling depressed. Or you might have recently had a breakup and you're just like remembering all the shit. I call it the shit because it's like it doesn't matter anymore. If you break up with somebody, then that's, it's gonna happen. Because, like, God has a way of making you feel guilty about breaking up with somebody who is good for you, but has a way of punishing the people that, you shouldn't be around. But with relationships and stuff like that, there's a point where you're gonna think about getting married, and there's the torn asunder vow in there, where the people you invited to your wedding and the people that you have in your life make a vow to keep you and your spouse together. Okay, your friends try to get you back with your spouse, and your spouse and his friends and family try to get him back with you, or vice versa, whoever it may contend to. So that's a vow. That's a vow that every witness in the room makes, except for the ones that are objecting. Okay, so you have to think about your home situation. You have to think about your friend's situation right before you get married. Because if somebody is talking trash about you or your spouse in any means of the contrary, they're not there to support you in your relationship when it goes bad. Okay, because anybody who you invite there is making that vow to keep you together. Okay, and that's what you have to think about in relationships. Is this a good person for me? Will his family and friends support us if we are going through a disagreement? And would they bring us back together? You have to think about those things. Like, is that something that would happen? If not, you should stay single. If at any point anybody that you meet in their family or in your family does not like your spouse or your potential spouse, that's a red flag, and that might not be the person for you. Unless you can figure out a way to have everybody who supports you come to your wedding and make that sworn oath in front of God and everybody. And in disagreements, sometimes you don't like your spouse, and then you have family members that do support you and your spouse being together, and that might leave a sour taste in your mouth. But they took an oath when they went into that church or into that ceremony to take that oath, and you can't rearrange that. If they're taking that oath to heart, they are true people. And you might not realize it at that point in time that they're supporting you and your ex, but they took an oath. They never swore against their oath. They never did anything against their oath that they took when they went into the church. So, you kind of have to forgive them for forgiving. Um, that's the thing. Anyway, number three, after I went off on a tangent, um, we have something precious, something sweet and wonderful to present for. So we have the awakening in reverse. So there's something that's kind of retrograding into, backwards. You might be kind of breaking yourself down to build yourself back up, which happens. Not acting with clear thought, being too cautious, thinking about your perceptual patterns of judgment and blame, harnessing your energy for something which sustains you. So you might be going to a job because you need money to support your lifestyle. You might be going to a friend's house to hang out because it's kind of like you're not really going too much of anywhere right now. You want to be comforted as much as possible. So you're going to your support teams and your support that will help you with your lifestyle. You're not really growing at the moment, which happens. There's a point in life where your shadow self doesn't want to go anywhere. Your shadow self doesn't want to do anything. Your shadow self wants to hibernate. My shadow self constantly wants to go out and be an asshole to people. I can't do that all the time. I'm an extrovert, but when I feel good, I like to go out. But if I'm in my shadow realm and people are forcing me to go out, I'm abrasive, I'm hateful, and I hate other people. And it's not me usually. Usually I'm like a ray of sunshine. Like my mom said from day one, you were an odd child, Karen. You always wanted to be around other kids, other people, telling people, everything under the sun. But that's me in the broadest of consequence. Um, and that's like kid level innocence. But in life, your energy will change. With age comes great responsibility, and even your planets drift away from the line in which you were born under. If you were, like me, born under Aries and Pisces on a cusp, the planets, when they do align, they never meet that mark for about 50 to 100 years. So once they hit that mark, they're constantly drifting away from that mark. With Mars, Mercury, and Venus, they do that as well, but they hit the points in a cycle, in an X cycle. An X cycle is about 58 years. So they'll go around and they'll meet up at some point or another with the original path in which they made. Usually Mercury misses it by a couple inches. Mars misses it by a couple days, and Venus hits it every single time. There's actual ancient ruins that actually show Venus hitting the mark every single time. It goes, the sun will hit it first on the cycle realm of 50 years. The moon will hit it every 53.4 months and a year. And then Venus will always hit it 58 years. So the cycle will continue going at that rate. So things are going to drift, things are going to be a hit and miss for a while, especially if you're going through some shit. Because some people are in a retrograde, some people are not in a retrograde. Some people are going through the best days of their lives. Some people are going through the worst days of their lives. Some people are moody, triggered assholes. And some people are just rays of sunlight, They go into work, they do their job, they're happy all the fucking time, and then they go home. And then they rest. They sleep for 9 hours. I had a friend like that. It was just rays of sunshine. Woke up with the sun, went down with the fucking sun, and slept through the entire night without fucking twitching. Deep sleeper. But with me, I'm an insomniac and I like listening to music all night long. But I rest when I need to. Um, I rest when I sit at my computer. Um, like I can't. I'm a night owl. Like morning is a little, I hate everything. I hate everyone and everything. I was born in the morning, so you can imagine like my Venus and my Mars are very prominent positions, and so is my Jupiter. When I don't want to do something, I don't want to do something. Like that's just me. I'm not a morning person, even though I was born in the morning. I slept most of the morning on the day I was born. My mom said I was a weird kid, and then I woke up and I was up all night. But that's just me as a person. I'm more active when I need to be. Okay, and that's kind of what I'm getting from you. You're active when you need to be. You're not really achieving great things at the moment, but you are existing, which is great. You're present. You're existing. You're going through the motions. Some people don't. Some people, just don't want to be in social situations. And I get that. With me, you know, I'm to the point in my life where I'm like 30 and I'm trying to like figure like my own business out. And business work is like, it's a lot. Like, I would rather not, engage. But since I do own a business, I do have to think about things that are bigger than what I am and actually try to predict my own greatness years into the future, you know. It's interesting. So you're kind of doing the same thing, you're cleaning out the old and getting into what you need to be doing. So number 4, something powerful. I always like powerful things. So we have the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles, a house. So you're examining your own relationship with property or poverty. Depends on which angle you're looking at. Looking for the disowned treasures within you. Fear that you're not being enough for anyone. So you're desperate and you're distribute. So you kind of feel like you're on the inside looking out or on the outside looking in, maybe at the same time. Like I said, you are who you are, and then you're not who you need to be. Like that type of thing. You're existing, like I said. So something funny. Oh, I like jokes. Okay, so something funny. We have the Five of Air, Five of Swords. So you wake up and sacrifice for the greater good. So you're living for other people at the moment. You might be living for your job, you might be living for your parents, you might be living for your kids, you might be living for just the next tomorrow, like that type of thing. And the next tomorrow is kind of like, there was a book like that. I forgot what the book's name was, but it says, I'm always living for yesterday's tomorrow, and I'm not thinking about the consequences if it happens the next day. I love that book. I forgot which book that was, but it's a good book. I read it a long time ago, but it's a good book. I forgot who wrote it. I should look that up. But anyway, we have something unsettling, where to stretch out of your comfort zone. We have the Eight of Water. The Eight of Water is turning your back on what is known, off on a new journey, returning to nature and listening to nature's wisdom or the earth, or maybe you're going hiking, or you just want to see some other stuff. Like you just want to be alone, you want to write in a journal, you want to learn how to paint, you want to go tracking rabbits or something, or forage for berries and nuts and mushrooms. I foraged for mushrooms. I went to the Blue Ridge Parkway and walked that whole trail one year. I had nothing better to do. I did it from North Carolina up until I think it was like Maryland or something. But it was nice. Found a lot of nuts, found a lot of berries. I lived my life on like chewy bars and like something that's the equivalent of like a trail mix bar. They didn't have kind bars at that point in time, but it was in the making, because a lot of people were hiking. So anyway, I just feel like you're getting back into nature and you're trying to figure out what everything is, which is fine. So you're seeking answers to life's big questions, and if you want the secret to those questions, you just have to like think about it as the questions will give you a look into your own life, because you have to experience life in order to understand what life's big questions are to begin with. So you also have to experience life in a certain predictable way, I would say. So it's how, I don't know how to explain that. So you're going to have to look at life like somebody would, how outcomes happen. Like, if I do this, this is going to happen, and this. It's going to be one big mathematical equation. So we have a remembrance. We have the Four of Air, which is the Four of Swords. Four of Swords is constantly taking action, feeling a need to prove your worth, mentally and physically burning out, leading to chronic stress. So you're going to stress yourself out, which is fine. You're allowed to stress yourself out. It's your life. You're allowed to be a burnout. You can sleep, you can eat, you can watch anime, whatever the fuck. And just be yourself. Some people forget to be themselves, and then they get all crazy like, who am I and shit. But you need those days off to know who you are as a person. You might need to meditate. So the last one is a thrill. So we have the Seven of Fire here in reverse. Cinnamon. So release anxiety, stop fighting for the wrong cause, walk away from confrontation. So I believe that you're going through a lot, and there's some people in your life that might kind of be pushing the issue. Like, you might be doing stuff that you want to do versus what they want you to do, and they're trying to push you. Oh, you need to get back dating, or you need to do this or that, or you need to, find your true calling and shit. It never works out that way. Me finding spirituality over, say, a Yale type Ivy League job was not my first thing, okay? Spirituality was like the last thing on my list. But here we are. Um, I like doing this. But, like, yeah, I had the grades to go to Yale and Harvard and Columbia and Stanford. But I didn't have the money. My mother didn't have the money. She was a single parent raising somebody with autism like my brother and me, who was a genius half the time. But yeah, she didn't have the money for a lot of things. We were going from one thing to the next, basically. Um, and only when I graduated high school did she realize, hey, my kid's kind of smart. She didn't know this for, I don't know, for the whole time I was in school. She never knew that I was like in like IP classes or IB classes or AP classes or like extracurricular like mathematics classes, and she didn't know I played sports. She didn't know I was part of the Science Olympiad and I won some medals. She didn't know a lot of things. She was just working all the time and trying to get by. But yeah, I mean, you always have points in your life where you kind of look around and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck happened? It looks like a tornado hit. And that's the realization that my mother had, you know, and the realization I had when my father disowned me. But she got it at the end of my high school experience. I got thrown into life at a very young age where I had to take care of my brother and my mom. So, like, my mom would fall asleep in odd places. And it was just very odd to be in that situation where you're an able body, you can answer the door, you can answer the phone. And then you have a brother who's totally mute. And it was just like the two of you are going to have to take care of each other. And I'm like, there's no fucking way. But he surprised me, a lot of times. I would be exhausted from school and extracurricular activities and things like that. And he would take hold of physical attributes of chores. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that he would understand. Like, we had to clean the house and take out the trash and do all this. But he catched on to what I was doing and he followed the leader. And then he developed his own motor skills and his own factions by himself. He likes different things. He likes this. He likes that. He tried mushrooms. He hated mushrooms before, and I never knew that he liked mushrooms until he told me. But, like, yeah, I mean, you get into the realization of the turmoil in your own life, and then you look around and you're like, where the fuck am I? It's like middle of goddamn Kansas, and you're Dorothy Gale trying to find your way home, you know? But, yeah, everybody's gonna go through that. Everybody's going to go through points of weakness, points of trauma, points of triumph, and points of stride. And through it all, you're going to have to thrive forward. You're going to be your biggest cheerleader. You're going to be your biggest critic. And you're going to be your biggest coach. If you need to get up in the morning, you're going to either have to be totally fucking out, or you're going to have to be your own coach. You're going to have to be your own cheerleader. You're going to have to be the pep squad for the Lakers at some points in your life. But there's points where you just don't want to do anything. And I get that. But there's also points in your life where, what if I just get up and I see what happens? You know? But you're going to have to figure that out. You're going to have to figure out who you are as a person. You're going to have to figure out, am I the type of person that's going to go out there and make friends? What kind of friends am I going to make? Am I going to make the quiet ones and help them overcome their shyness? Or am I going to get other assholes that are going to be bad influences on me? Am I going to help the brilliant people or am I going to help the assholes? And you have to make these choices. Sometimes they come to you, and that's not a good place to be because you don't really get to know yourself. You get to know yourself later. And knowing yourself later is not good. I've known myself this entire time. I've known who I wanted to be. I knew what kind of friends I wanted. I knew just who I was. My father doesn't know who I am. He left my life very earlier on, and I just never got over that. I always wanted to be somebody my father could be proud of. But the thing about my father is that he would never be proud of me because I wasn't what he wanted in the first place. Years of trauma and trying to make it, trying to be a positive person was very hard. Trying to be something that wouldn't amount to much to the wrong person. Okay? You have to understand who you are as a person and know that you're valuable. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're a tomboy. It doesn't matter if you're a girly man. That's cool too. Doesn't matter if you like cute things and you're a masculine man. You can like cute things. Nobody ever told you not to. Some people might frown upon it, but nobody said you couldn't. You know? Nobody said you couldn't be you. And if they did, fuck them. They didn't need to be there in the first place. My father didn't need to be there in the first place. He was just there temporarily. He was there to succeed in a mission that, he wasn't going to see the end result, you know. And that takes a long time to go from 6-year-old me to powerful 34-year-old me that's trying to run her own business and being too stretched out to actually think for herself anymore. I have to write down everything. That's how I get through that. But yeah, it's nice to be control of yourself. Okay. Know your own strengths and weaknesses. Know what you can give to somebody else. Know what type of friends you want. Know where you want to be in 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. Know what impact you want to make on somebody else. It could be very small. It could be like you're going to be friends with somebody who has no friends, who has no real social standing. And then they become big because of their talents. And you could say, I helped them with that. You know, I wouldn't take all the credit though. Some people are just, they need a boost. They don't need a friend for life. They need a boost, you know. But yeah, I just think a lot of people are waiting for somebody to validate their existence when you can do that yourself. Okay? So when it's time, you will be able to validate what you want to do, who you are as a person, and how it feels to be human. Okay? And that can be very hard for a lot of people to understand and actually feel that. Okay? So this might not resonate for everybody, but there's a point in your life where you're going to need this talk. It's going to be a long road ahead once you meet me at this point. You're going to have triumphs, you're going to have a lot of turmoil, and you're going to have a lot of strides. Okay? Just remember to celebrate everything because it's your life. It's not anybody else's. Okay? And I don't need to hear about it, okay? I just want to know that you're okay. You got to breathe sometimes. You can't be a Gemini all the time. You can't be a master of nothing all the time. You have to be a master of yourself, okay? Anyway, I'll see you in the next reading. Hopefully this helps you out. I'm going to do short readings, hopefully, because I got a lot to say, okay? And that's just how it is. I always wanted to be myself, and somehow or another I lost myself doing these readings. I wasn't happy doing them. Sometimes I was a jerk. Sometimes I was 100% vulnerable. And that's okay. You're allowed to be. You're human, after all. You can also be a little strange if you want. I mean, that doesn't hurt. Some people are eccentric. Some people are a little bit more disciplined. But you're allowed to be you. Okay? Never allow somebody to take away that power. Because then that becomes a brittle thing. You're here to learn. You're not here to become a master. Okay? Later.